thank you very much for coming on the show today. I know you're a busy man, and you have often been, several times, you've been a Scottish Family Party candidate. Now, tell us what's the state of play with the Scottish Family Party at this election. Are you standing?
So I won't be standing in this election. I thought it was called a bit early, Alistair. You know what I mean? It came out of the blue. I remember I was I was up at the Chippy, and I see they've got the news on, and I was like, election? Are you serious? I was just like, oh my God, head in my hands. I was like, because I personally was not ready for this election, and it came out like a bolt for the blue. It was just way too quick for me, you know. So I won't be standing in this election, but the Scottish Family Party are represented in quite a number of seats across Scotland. Not the entirety, or not all the seats, but there are, I think, 15 or 16 seats.
Well, I think we've got some graphics. Let's put up the first one here that tells us where they are standing. Just get rid of that banner there.
So you've got Richard Lucas in Edinburgh South West, Phil Holden, Edinburgh South, Will Lanahan, Coatbridge and Bellshill, Ewan Morris, Moray West, and Nairn and Strathspey, Danny Smith in Dunfermline and Dollar, Neil Deepernarian in Edinburgh North and Leith, Don Smith in Aberdeen North, Gareth Kirk in Dumfriesshire, Clydesdale and Tweeddale. And then moving on, you've got David Richardson in East Kilbride and Straven. Great guy, David Richardson. Andrew Muir, Western Bartonshire. Stephen Welsh. And can you pronounce that?
I think it's Western Isles is the English translation, but I wouldn't want to make an effort.
Right, I'm not going to make an effort either, but I'm hoping Stephen can tell me how it is. But Maria Reid in East Wren, John MacArthur in Rutherglen, Susan Ettle in Dundee Central, Graham Crabe in Aberdeen South, and Hamish Goldie Scott in Berwickshire, Roxburgh and Selkirk. So we are represented in 16 seats, which is great. And I mean, the whole election, I mean, what do you do, Alistair? I see the comments. The comment about I voted for a party that I hate, which is obviously Labour. And hello to all the great comments. Thanks very much for welcoming me back. So, I mean, the comment is, I voted for Labour, a party that I hate, to get rid of a party that I detest. And what a sorry state of affairs this is, Alistair, isn't it?
It's a pity that it's come to this in Scotland, the lesser of two evils, and I can understand that particular attitude. Of course, those of us who have political parties to which we are much more closely affiliated, of course, such as yourself with the Scottish Family Party, never have those concerns, because we're voting very much for a program that we're invested in personally. And so in that sense, people like yourself are lucky if you've got a Scottish Family Party candidate in your particular area. You don't need to be concerned about that. My own opinion is that tactical voting can sometimes become a long-term way of looking at things, because come like 2026 is going to roll around. That's the Scottish Holyrood election, and those tactical concerns will still face us at that as well, at least on the first past the post ballot, which is the first vote. And so it becomes a way of life, a way of voting tactically. But I can certainly understand some people saying that we should get rid of the SNP, although the SNP are never going to form the government in Westminster.
That's impossible.
It's impossible for them. They can vote with the government. They can do that, and we probably expect them to do that on most of the issues, actually.
Well, I mean, just in general, this election's been it's been rather boring, isn't it, Alistair? Until sort of Farage rocked up on the scene with reform. It was so it's monotonous. You've got Keir Starmer battering on about this. You've got Rishi Sunak battering on about that. But then Nigel Farage just comes out like a breath of fresh air. And this is it's great for British politics. Nigel Farage, he's actually given people a ray of hope for once. And you know, if you're not into the tactical voting and perhaps you are going to vote Scottish Family Party, you could vote Reform as well. You know, it's one of these things where I wouldn't begrudge any of them, anybody voting Reform at this point in time, because it does. I mean, it feels like they will reach a critical mass at one point. If not this general election, I feel that they'll maybe reach a critical mass in England, which is the focus of their campaign this time. And I believe that in 2026 they are going to make a big push for the Scottish elections as well. So
yes, on these sorts of issues, Scotland will follow England to an extent. I mean, I was involved many years ago with the UK IP when it first started out, and the UK IP never expected to win a deposit in Scotland, and it never did win a deposit in Scotland, except at the European election. Was it in 20? I don't want to say 14, but it could have been. They actually won a seat. Mm-hmm. And that was very much as a kind of carryover from all the excitement that was happening in England. Under the proportional representation system, there were sufficient people in Scotland to give UKIP a seat, and that was very telling, and it was a massive thing, really, politically and democratically. And what I see happening in Scotland is the Reform vote, which is going to be in 57 seats. In all 57 seats in Scotland, it'll be interesting just to see what that is, and if they win any deposits, which is to say 5% of the vote, or if they even come close to winning a deposit. What that will say is that they're definitely in with a fighting chance of getting candidates in on the regional list in 2026.
And the thing is with Reform and the general election is, you probably, if you're going to vote Reform, you're going to vote Reform, right? And if you're not happy with the tactical voting, then it will give Reform a huge indicator as to what sort of percentages they can command come 2026. Which I mean, it's great to have at least an opportunity to vote for someone that you don't detest. You know, I mean, this is the thing where. I'm going to segue into the Lib Dems because I'm talking about detesting things because Alex Cole-Hamilton's made a massive blunder. But it's just, I'm just so glad to see that Reform's at least on the table here. And you're right, they're running in every single seat here in Scotland. And I mean, really, you have to do that in order to be taken seriously. You know, they have to show that they've got the funds available to pay all the deposits. They have to show that they're at least a credible force. I mean, in saying that, Scottish Family Party is only running in 16, but we are literally a grassroots party that's come up from the ground. We have no massive donors, no massive contributors, anything like that. So we are just a people's party at this point.
Yes, and that's a very positive thing for you, because as I always imply here, major political parties need major funds, and we're not talking about £5,000 to cover 10 deposits. We're talking millions and millions of pounds, and Reform have got that, and I don't know where they've got it from. And all I can say is that I hope that they're not in hock to those people who are funding them, because that's where every British party falls down. It falls down because it has to go along. If you're getting funded by City of London interests,
of course,
you have to go along with the world economy. You can't say, well, what I think it would be good is if Britain produced its own food. There was like, no, that's where the City of London is not going to accept that. No, it's all about globalism. It's all about trade here and there. Oh, I don't think we should fight that war. Oh, no, boys in the City of London think it might be a good idea. And so you're free from that. And I hope that we can have a genuinely British in Reform, we have a genuinely British, patriotic, sovereign party, which means it is not beholden to foreign people, foreign money, foreign interests.
And this is the key, Alistair, isn't it? That we need to govern ourselves. We can't be influenced by geopolitics. It's time for Britain to become insular and to become Britain again, and to champion British culture instead of sort of run, just we feel like we've fall off the cliff in terms of culturally. Britain, we don't have any we don't export many comedies. We don't export culture the way we used to. And it's a very, very sorry state of affairs. But this is what we need to do in order to come back to British values and start just championing ourselves again and start believing in ourselves.
Yes.
Because this is really what we should be doing. And, I see, you alluded to the fact that there's big funders in Reform. And I was on George Galway's question show, I think a week or two ago, and he sort of gave me like a coded message in his answer and saying, well, I hope that, Nigel Farage isn't, being puppeteered in the background here. And this is my fear as well, is that, there's the sort of the same shadowy government, permanent government that we've got here is somehow puppeteering Farage as well. That is a fear of mine. But at the same time, where are you going to go? We've no avenue in order to put our vote and a place to put our eggs. So really, I think it's a gamble that I feel that I'm worth. It's worth taking.
Absolutely, and you can't go through life not supporting somebody because you're suspicious or something. You just have to say, well, let's get this guy in, and then let's see where the circumstances of him being in. Let's see where that leads us, and that will open up new opportunities. That will create new events, which can help our particular view in some way or another. So yeah, I do think that's the case. William's come back to you. He says, Niall, you're spot on about my detesting the SNP. Dunfermline here has yet another SNP candidate that needs further scrutiny. I have lived here for 42 years and 33 of them were with the Royal Navy. Well, good for you.
And Dunfermline is a beautiful place in Scotland. That's where I was born. I just round the corner in Cowdenbeath, William. So, I mean, Dunfermline's got a huge spot in my heart. And again, what a beautiful area that has been totally tarnished. It's went to rack and ruin, with SNP rule. We need to sort of rejuvenate, these ancient towns and cities we've got here in Scotland. And Dunfermline's one of them.
Mm-hmm. Yes, absolutely. So much in Scotland. Gary says, well said, Niall.
If we could sort of segue into, generally, it takes me to get really, really angry to start writing. And what's got me angry recently is Alex Cole-Hamilton.
Oh yeah,
for a number of reasons. And if you've got the clips, I was talking to the producer earlier on. So if we've got the clips of Alex Cole-Hamilton, one with Beth, just so we can show what sort of character Alex Cole-Hamilton is. If we can bring that up,
yes, let's play
that would be fantastic. But just in general, Alex Cole-Hamilton is really, I think, Scotland's worst politician for a number of reasons.
Well, let's play the video. Let's play the video first, and we'll you can comment.
While we're waiting for it to be spooled up, when they're putting the projector reels on. The thing is, with Alex Cole-Hamilton, what he said recently, and if you look back towards the debates, there was a debate show with the Scottish leaders in some church in Glasgow, and what has he said? He said that, social media companies are ruining the minds of the young.
Mm-hmm.
They're ruining them. And it's causing such a mental health crisis here in Scotland. And he's right. This is the thing. This is why he's the worst politician that Scotland has, because he's absolutely correct that social media is ruining. And it's actually, I think it's siphoning away the childhood of the youth we've got here in Scotland, social media. and they should be unilaterally banned from all schools. Smartphones, I'm talking about. And this is what I've called for in my conference speech just back early last year. And what's his solution to this mental health crisis with social media companies, Alistair? Well, of course, he wants to tax the social media companies. Doesn't he want to end the mental health epidemic we've got? It doesn't want to doesn't want to make inroads in destroying that and sort of freeing our youth of this sort of contagion. But what he wants to do is he wants to tax social media companies. In essence, what he's doing is he's putting a price on the minds of Scottish youth. Again, just despicable display of politicking. It really is.
Yes.
But if I can get the video spooled up of Alex Cole-Hamilton, he's doing it for Beth. If we can get that, that'll be great.
I want to thank Beth, who's compared and did that amazing speech at the start. Beth was with us in the public gallery of the Scottish Parliament throughout all of those late night sessions before Christmas. And, we went at the really dark hours, in the really dark times. We'd look up and see Beth and the people beside her, and it was for Beth and for you guys that we were doing it, we were fighting.
Done it for Beth, Alistair.
Yeah, a bit too much of the obsequious there, really.
And Beth is this trans character that we've got here in Scotland that takes pictures of herself brandishing knives, and he's done it for Beth. All this the gender reform, he's done it for her or him or whatever you want to call Beth. But at the same time, he's so outrageous with this, and this then segues into the next video. The thing that's got me really, really angry was this betting scandal that's going around the whole general election debate. So what's happening is Rishi Sunak, there's going to be an election called in July. I'm going to call it. What happens is Coast Protection Officer ends up telling folk, they then bet, then insider Tory campaigners start betting on a known fact. In essence, totally cheating. It's Alistair, it's the same as a football player saying, bet on me to get a red card because I'm going to break somebody's legs next game. Bet on me to get a red. It's the exact same, if not worse, because it's more consequential when we're talking about elections and things like that. So
yes, let's play that video.
I've had a number of very small punts on a couple of races in this election, but that's only because I know and like the candidates. I think they've potentially got a good chance, but I'm also prepared to lose my money. They're all Lib Dems, but at the end of the day, this is a very different kettle of fish to what we're talking about here, and why the Gambling Commission are interested in the story in Downing Street, because these people knew of something for certain and bet against that in the bookies.
But from a moral point of view, do you have any issue with that at all? You're saying you have placed bets on Lib Dem candidates presumably winning seats in this election.
And, I've not broken any rules. And I think if you ask a lot of politicians...
And you don't see a moral issue with that as a politician betting on the election?
No, I think there is, after, particularly given the abuse that's happened in Downing Street, I think there is a case for a review on political betting.
So here we've got Alex Cole-McCrinach, the betting man, is our fancy jacket. I suppose he needs to put some bets on to afford these fancy jackets. I mean, again, it doesn't answer the question again. Morally, it's totally wrong. Morally wrong. And if I'm sure we'll have people in here that are familiar with how the betting market works. But if Alex Cole-Hamilton walks into the bookies and puts $1,000 on a Lib Dem candidate to win, that's going to change the price of that Lib Dem candidate. That's going to shorten the price. Just say it was 5-1. If he puts $1,000 on it, might fall to 3-1, might fall to 4-1, whatever it is. But it's going to change the market. The market's dictated by how much money is weighted on either side. That's how the betting market works, and that's how the bookies always make money regardless, because they're just weighing money against each other. So in essence here, what he's done, he should not be allowed to place bets, to place political bets. I'm not caught. I mean, if he wants to bet on the football, fair game, right? But he's placing political bets in which he's got key inside information, and even by saying this, Alistair, this might turn away Lib Dem voters. This, the fact that it's transpired that he's betted, this might affect the market again. And which way is he bet? Is he bet for his candidates to lose or win? I don't really care, quite frankly. But he should not be able to place a bet in a sort of political forum like this. It really shouldn't. It shouldn't happen.
Yes, you would think that he would have the wherewithal to realise that even if it's not technically illegal, that it's not a very clever thing to do, really, when you are an insider in that way. It's one thing you and I, who are not standing at this election, placing bets if you wanted to, but for him, especially as the leader of a political party as well, I mean, just that in itself should be enough to say, you know what, I'm not really going to do this. There's no law against it, but it just doesn't look right. You'd think you would have that wherewithal, you know?
At the same time, I'm wondering why he's come with this admission that he's bet. Were they going to? Is it because that it would have been found out anyway? Is it because that maybe all political parties are making bets of such in this sort of nature where they're betting on their own candidates or betting against their own candidates just to make a quick buck? Yes. And as if the guy isn't already on, £70,000 a year of our money, Alistair. He's getting paid up, triple or quadruple what every working man here in Scotland generally makes. That he still needs to make more.
Yes, exactly. It's an extremely bad look, and it's extremely wrong, really, for him to have done that. Very foolish indeed. And if he does win his bet, he should maybe donate it to the Scottish Family Party. That would be maybe appropriate. Well, maybe not. I think you'd turn that money away if you got it.
Absolutely. It's ill-gotten gains, Alistair, right?
Yeah.
And this is the way I would see it. Any money that he's made is ill-gotten gains. And the fact that he's even walked into the bookies. Imagine being Alex Cole-Hamilton and walking into the bookies with his betting slip and claiming the money. Yeah, it's crazy. And then the probably bookmakers like, hold on a minute. Were you not in this election? It's so bizarre, but again, it shows you just how corrupted almost every single facet of our politics has become. Yes. It really is. It's unbelievable. But this is Alex Cole-Hamilton again, guys, the worst politician in Scotland, or maybe he's the best one. I don't know, because he hides in plain sight, so he does.
Have you been at any of the hustings meetings that are occasionally being held here and there?
No, I mean, I've been spending time with my new son, Alistair. So this is the whole reason I didn't stand in the election in the first place, was to spend more time with the family. And it's just, it was just, 2 or 3 weeks old when the election was called. And it wasn't fair on my partner to just... You know what an election campaign's like, Alistair. It's morning to night, and it's full on.
That's right, and you're highly intense as well when you do that, and so you would be in it like 24/7, 365. And if you've just got a young child at that age, you're going to need to be there, as it were, in case of whatever. So yes, that's. I think you absolutely made the right decision on that one. And
there was someone else I wanted to talk about as well, and it's again, this one's quite hard to talk about actually, because it's literally hard to talk about, and it's this guy in South Africa.
Calling
for the genocide of white people. And I mean, you mentioned prior to us coming on that actually South Africa's in the Commonwealth, so we should be able to clamp down on this sort of rhetoric rather quickly. And why isn't it happening? So South Africa, this isn't new. This has been going on quite a long time, where we've had politicians being elected in South Africa and openly calling to kill Boer farmers, white people, and take their land off them. And some of the stories you get for the Boer farmers is horrendous. I remember when I went to buy a baby changing table, and the woman who was selling me it she had a South African accent. So I said, "Oh, you must be from South Africa," and she said, "Yes, that's where I'm from." And said, I was asking about the white genocide and the Boer farmers. She said, "Oh, that's not many people ask that, Niall. Not many people know about that, actually. But yeah, it's a horrific and it's a horrendous problem, and it's only getting worse. And if if we've got people openly calling for the genocide of white people, I mean, if I was to say the things that this guy said, but I just turn it on its head and say, we want to murder all black people, their women and their babies.
Yes,
I think I would be arrested before I finished the sentence.
No, of course, and perfectly rightly so. Did we have the video of that?
If we've got the
we don't, but it's probably just as well, because it's not a very pleasant video.
No.
But what it is basically this politician in South Africa literally calling for the murder of people and naming them, and this is happening while to a Commonwealth country that Britain has very much a historical attachment to, going right back to the founding of it. And yet this is an example of what's so wrong with our politicians. Our politicians, they only care about like Ukraine, a country that has no doubt got its own issues, but that many of us had to look at a map to find, and also the Middle East as well. And these issues that really are closer to home, they may as well not exist for our British political class. Imagine if we, instead of a political class that we had that was concerned about what's happening in Ukraine or Israel or the Gaza Strip, imagine if it cared about what's happening to those countries that it has a direct physical and historical attachment to, and such as South Africa and also Zimbabwe. But our politicians don't want to go there if they even know about what's happening there. And so that says that Britain has not, for a long time now, we've not been interested in those relations, which are actually of kin in many ways, and for many people. And we've been told to look away from that. But we need to get back to focus on those sorts of things again, especially when the country down there, South Africa, is going in a very bad way. And there are things that our politicians could do, and we can put pressure on certain diplomatic points to ensure that who's ever in control of South Africa at the moment gets a grip on that and stops that. And realizes that they have to stop it because Britain's not happy with it.
We are seeing it in a differing way here in the United Kingdom, where instead of openly calling for the genocide of white people, we see it in a more malicious and malign way through our education system, with this critical race theory teachings that say that white people have got inherent privilege. That the only people that can be racist are white people. It's this doctrine combined with the fact that we're flooding migrants into a country that are non-white, and we're telling both them and us that white people are inherently evil, that everything that they've got in their countries, everything that we've built in the Britain, is just by virtue of slavery. We're tearing down statues. We're sort of we're rewriting history here, and it's purely in an anti-white slant. So this is where I did make a video about this, a few months ago, but it's re-jogged the memory, and it's sort of reinforced in me that this is a real problem. And if we don't address this rather quickly, then we're in for some scary times. And it is already scary times in South Africa.
Yes. Well, let's play that video that you did. It's I think it's about 2.5 minute video, but let's just give it a spin, and because it was you were pushing the boat out with it, and all credit to you for that. So let's go ahead and roll.
I've written a script for a movie, maybe an 8-part series on Netflix. I just wanted to run it past you all first. I think it's too far-fetched to ever be picked up, but I'll tell you the plot, and you can tell me what you think. So it all starts with a political movement in a country far, far away. And this political movement is hell-bent on genociding all white people. What an incredibly hard task that would be. Genociding a whole race of people. It would take decades, if not longer. So, undeterred with the task, this political movement starts orchestrating vast and unrelenting movements of non-white people of questionable backgrounds and alien cultures into majority white countries under the guise of asylum. The pace and sheer volume of people moving into the majority white countries makes it impossible for proper integration, and inevitably separate culture groups are formed. Crime rises, racial tensions are stoked, social services become less and less available. Then would come the implementation, the deploying of diversity quotas, filling positions of power with non-white people, promoting people based on skin tone alone, hiring people based on skin tone alone, eroding ancient Western meritocratic values, social housing prioritised for newcomers, and the indigenous are overlooked. They then start imbibing anti-white sentiments in the education systems, making sure that the next generations are brought up educated to the evils of the white race and their culture by rewriting history, saying that everything that they have in their countries, all the riches, all the wealth, the very society that whites enjoy is actually ill-gotten gains through the exclusive exploitation of non-white countries. Again, racial tensions are artificially inflamed against white people. A pressure group comes along called Black Lives Matter, requiring that people literally kneel before them. Any condemnation of the group is met with silencing and censorship. And now the game is properly afoot. They start a doctrine of cultural decolonisation, attacking and dismantling everything attached to white culture. Political pressure groups are funded and formed to sow further discontent. Statues are branded racist and toned down. Churches are burned to the ground. Priceless artwork and buildings that took decades to create are gone in minutes. The people that they put in positions of power now start passing speech laws, specifically targeting white people. And here we are. Or rather, that's all the script that I've written for the film. So you tell me, is that too far-fetched, or what?
Oh, it's making me sweat watching that there, Alistair.
Well, do you know what? You've got a very good way of putting it all together in a short amount of time, covering all the bases in a very logical way. So that's a really good video. Did you post that on your TikTok?
I haven't put it on TikTok, I don't think. I just put it on my Twitter, but then again it went viral almost instantly. Even Andrew Tate commenting on it.
Wow.
Yeah. So and he said, I said it's a Netflix show. He said something like, well, it's a shame. It's exactly like real life, basically. But if you want to sort of entertain me further, Alistair, I've got someone else to showcase to your viewers. So my most recent video is, again, the way I like to see it is, like, tactical voting is most likely probably the way to go in order to get the SNP out, right? But another way, I've always said that, yes, that's likely the route out of this SNP-dominated political culture here we've got in Scotland. But the way to really do it is to drive the reputation of the SNP into the ground, time and time and time again, until they've got no voters left. And then we don't need to worry about tactical voting at all. Then we could actually legitimately vote for parties that interest us, that align with your values and your sensibilities. So I don't know if you want to run on a bit longer there, Alistair, but if you could close out the sort of the show with my latest one, which is
absolutely. Let's run that video right now.
Yeah. That's brilliant.
That's a good one. That's a potted history of the SNP's failures, really, since they took power in May 2007. And it may well be that is the last waltz for them. We can only
hope, yeah.
Hope. Exactly. Niall, it's been a pleasure having you on the show, as always, and wishing you the very best and your young family the very best as well. You are on X, formerly known as Twitter, at x.com/Niall Fraser 8, and that's spelt NIALLFRASER numeral 8. Good. Fantastic. Any last words?
No, just thanks for having me, Alistair. It's been an absolute pleasure being on your show. And what I would like to promote just very briefly is the fact that on election night, I'll be doing an alternative broadcast. I see that ITV are having Nicola Sturgeon on their show for the debate. So if you can't bear to look at Nicola Sturgeon, then you can tune in to my alternative broadcast. And of course, Alistair, you are invited on to give us your opinion and to watch the results come in. Because we might be having a wee sip of champagne, Alistair. Who knows? If they get sub 10 seats, I think I might just order in a carry-out.
I'm looking forward to that. That will be on your Twitter platform.
Yeah.
Right. Well, I'll be one of your, what do they call it? Pundits.
Yes, please.
Yes. I'll be the I'll have a lot to say, and no doubt there'll be other pundits as well making an entrance, and it could be a very good alternative. An alternative, a sort of unionist. We need to get a name for that. Then we'll have for the unionist night in or whatever, and we can have, like, people can comment as well. Have you got a system whereby people can send in their comments?
Oh, of course. It'll be very similar to this. If I can take a page at your book, Alistair, you run an absolute great show here. So if I could emulate what you're doing here, that would be fantastic. It'd be if I come anywhere close to what this is, I'm sure it'll be a great podcast, and I'm sure we can get not just yourself, but tactical voting guide creator David Griffiths has already said he'd be available. A lot of other people are expressed interest in coming on the show, and we might even get people who are just people commenting that if they want to come up and give us their take, just come ahead. So it'll be a no holds barred like election night. It'll be fantastic.
That sounds great. That's something to look forward to next Thursday. And okay, Niall, thanks very much for coming on, and we'll be speaking to you next Thursday night.
Okay, fantastic. All the best, and thanks to all your great viewers.
Thank you.